If you were listening at all to the Dan Bongino program, especially in the final minutes leading up to this show, you would have heard Dan very concerned about the state of the United States Secret Service right now, specifically the leadership of the United States Secret Service. There are a growing number of scandals, and among the people who's been reporting on them so well is my next guest. Susan Crabtree is here. She is a RealClearPolitics White House National political correspondent, and she joins us on the phone. Susan, good to talk to you.
Thanks so much for having me again.
So I just want to remind people of what's been happening just recently. You and I talked about this, which is that Kamala Harris has, of course, Secret Service protection, and there was some chaos at Andrews Air Force Base recently ahead of Kamala's departure there. And that appears to be kind of the fuse that's lit all of the developments since then. Give us a brief rundown of what happened at Andrews and what has happened since.
Yes, it's sort of that event was unheard of before. I've been covering the Secret Service for more than a decade and all of their problems. And that incident occurred when a female special agent kind of snapped, and we don't know exactly why, but she got physical with her superior. She grabbed a phone from one of her bosses, took it out, started deleting apps. Then all of a sudden she was mumbling to herself behind curtains. Mm-hmm. There was actually, she threw some menstrual pads at an agent. It was described as a mental breakdown to me by several sources in the Secret Service community. Since then, the Secret Service did confirm that did in fact occur, but not all the details, called it a medical incident, and that she was, they wouldn't tell me if she's on medical leave or if she's on administrative leave, which usually occurs when there's an investigation into misbehavior among Secret Service agents and officials. Right. So since that happened 2 weeks ago, I reported on that. We reported her name. Michelle Herzig is the agent that did have that seemingly mental lapse. And since then, I've been hearing all kinds of things about it. And there was a petition that is circulating among the Secret Service community. So far, last count, I just looked on it before we went on air. There's 122 signatures, and it's not known whether those are former agents, current agents, anonymous signers. I don't know. But they are very concerned, and they want an investigation, a House Oversight investigation into DEI, diversity and inclusion issues at the Secret Service. They believe that this particular agent and others have been hired even though they did not meet the complete training and physical requirements that usually the Secret Service in the past has mandated.
And the idea being that that it's their identity that was more important than their competency or their merit for the role. And so people are concerned that might be the priority rather than bringing in people who can successfully protect the people that they're tasked with protecting, right?
That's exactly right. The petition is replete with different allegations in it that I have not confirmed, so that I have not provided the petition itself until I can confirm everything in it. But the issues that it raises are exactly that. They are, and one accusation that I believe is true, and I have talked to several sources, and Dan Bongino also believes it's true. He said it on the prior program, that Kimberly Cheatle, who is the director of the Secret Service, was the what they call a special agent in charge of the training. It's the big training center the Secret Service uses to qualify candidates, and that she was the head of the training center when this Michelle Herzig went through. And there were, from what I understand, talking to several sources in the community, there were problems with her, complaints about her mental stability even back then. And that would have been around 2017, 2018.
And so since then, Kimberly Cheatle has now, of course, become the Secret Service director. And the petition that you're talking about is additionally calling for her removal, correct?
That's right. They want her removal and at least a House Oversight Committee investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And as you remember, Jason Chaffetz led several of those investigations when he was head of the House Oversight Committee back in the mid-2015, right around then. And there was all this change that was supposed to occur with the culture there. There was this, sort of crony culture that some people would get ahead if they weren't qualified and other people wouldn't. Now it's even more pronounced. We cannot have agents that are a harm to other agents and even maybe the president himself if in those positions, and especially if they were rushed through. That's what, I'm not saying that happened. That's what these agents want to know, that they were demanding a congressional investigation into those allegations.
The Secret Service tries to be kind of the low-profile agency that just gets about the business of protecting the president and all of the other protectees. But it is the case, as you know, Susan, that these scandals pop up from time to time, whether we go back to the prostitution scandal back in 2012 or the guy who climbed the White House fence and then literally ran inside of the White House and was running around inside the building for some untold period of time before somebody finally realized, hey, there's a random person inside the White House. So we get these things, and then typically what happens after that is some sort of reckoning. We're like, okay, we need to figure out a way to clamp down on all of this. Do you get the sense that that's happening right now, that the Secret Service is taking seriously the problems within their ranks and the concerns even among active agents?
Well, I don't know if it's directed at the director herself, and that's where it seems to be right now, that she has signed on to what is called the 30 by 30 pledge. She wants to have, it's for all law enforcement across the country, to have 30% women in the ranks of the Secret Service by 2030. And if you look at their website, it says one of the reasons why women should be 30%, at least 30%, is that they have fewer arrests. They also have they're involved in fewer complaints. They better handle sexual issues, sexual assault issues, and allegations and crimes. But if one of the reasons why they have fewer arrests, that doesn't seem to comport with the concerns we have about rising crime in the nation. Certainly, it's just arbitrary because we have no idea if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing.
It's catastrophically stupid, though. Like the idea, like 30, you know what we need? We need to make sure 30% of all the Secret Service agents are women. No, you need to make sure that 100% of the Secret Service agents can protect the people they're assigned to protect.
Yeah, you would want that to be your first priority, especially when it comes to protecting the president, the leader of the free world.
It's really crazy. Okay, so where do you think this goes? Do you get the sense that Congress is taking seriously these issues and will be launching full-scale investigations into them?
Well, it's interesting that just a few days ago, when this petition started circulating, you had the House Judiciary Committee Republicans launching an investigation into DEI problems with the FBI.
Yes.
And we know from other reporting there's DEI concerns about training, whether the people are being trained enough, qualified enough to serve in the diplomatic security service. We've seen lots of reports about that. I contacted the Oversight Committee. They are not yet ready to make a statement about this one way or another. I know they have their hands full with lots of investigations, but they are probably concerned about the fact that we still don't know about the cocaine that appeared in the White House. And there's obviously a fingerprint trail, and we should know by now whose that was.
Yeah, I got the impression, by the way, and I don't know if your reporting bears this out, but I keep referring to Dan because as I was coming into my program and listening to Dan's broadcast, and Dan Bongino was making it really clear that they know whose cocaine that was, and that's the implication that I was getting from Dan, and that this is basically just been a huge cover-up, and the Secret Service has been playing along with it. Do you think that's right?
Well, there has to be fingerprints on a baggie. I do know, covering the Secret Service, that there is a cronyism that it's been a problem for years and years and years. And you get ahead and the people who get punished is very uneven who ends up getting punished, because it's who you know in the Secret Service and what that person has on you. And that's why we saw all of these stories come out, because there were lots of people getting punished, but other people weren't for the same type of infractions. And so when that type of environment happens, you're going to have whistleblowers. You had whistleblowers in the FBI to come out and talk about their very, very long DEI charges, complaints about what's going on in that agency. Now you have a petition, and this petition, I've seen it. I'm not posting it because there are things that I have to confirm in that petition before posting it, but it's very long and it's very detailed about some of the problems and the uneven punishment that's taking place and the uneven qualification.
Yes. In other words, they're alleging even more problems than the public is even aware of right now, and you're just working to verify what you can.
Yes, I have verified that Kimberly Cheatle was in charge of the training center in 2016. It's on her bio. It's easily verifiable. And also there's a picture of her from 2017 that says she was still the special agent in charge of the training center. So what we need to know is, and I know Dan says he knows, but I need to know myself, whether she was the one that, whether she ignored complaints that this woman was unstable and other complaints about other people not being qualified, or, how she ran that training center. We need to know. Because if people are getting through that are unqualified or are even less qualified than other people, just for DEI purposes, why do we want, certainly someone who has a mental stability issue, that should be a huge red flag, and they should not be serving on the vice president's detail.
And we live in a country right now where the temperature is turned way up, that it feels like at any moment things can explode. And the last thing we need is any harm to come to the people the Secret Service is supposed to be protecting well. So, I mean, this is about as critical as it gets. And Susan Crabtree, I'm so grateful for your time as always, and that you're digging into this important issue. Thank you very much.